Kapil Sankla, after the Supreme Court made it very clear that blindly distrusting a system can lead to unwarranted suspicions, in your appreciation, sir, has this EVM issue been effectively addressed?
I definitely think so, because the Honorable Supreme Court has basically gone through what has been done by the government or the Election Commission as far as the EVMs are concerned, and how the technology has been roped in. And after Mr. Swami's judgment, also the paper trail that is created. Now, two other orders have been passed by the current judgment, also protecting and also giving a leeway to the second and the third candidate to get checked the 5% of the EVM which are there. So as far as the protective mechanism is already there. I do not really agree with Asim, who said that, that every time there is something amiss as far as those EVMs are concerned, it only benefits BJP, because this is not their argument. And in fact, in the argument before the Honorable Supreme Court, what was shown is that there have been statistically very minute inaccuracies, and those were also explained by the government. So as far as that is concerned, I really don't agree with it. And I would have been really scared, honestly, because you know that I've done extensive amount of political cases in Haryana, etc., and Northeast, represent a lot of politicians. And in all those cases, we're talking about ballot systems where it was prone to some kind of mistake, which would always be challenged. It would be open to mischief, which is obvious. And then, of course, those ballot boxes getting stolen and all that business that was happening. Now, the check that has already been here, let us look at it. The technology twofold. The EVMs are brought in. Yes. Then they said, let us just control the amount of people who can come and press the button. So that is how we're going to control some kind of hanky-panky.
Yes.
So in 1 minute, if I'm not mistaken, only 4 times the button can be pressed. So they've slowed down the system to ensure that one hanky-panky cannot happen. And what was the second one? They said, this is Mr. Swami's judgment, that they said there should be some kind of protection as far as paper trail is also concerned. So they said, all right, fine, this is good. And so please come out with the technology. The technology was brought in, and then the technology was further enhanced, giving the voter a right under the fundamental right to see after he presses the button, to see whether that vote has been counted for or factored in or not for 7 seconds. And then it goes in a box where it is stored. And so if there is any question, it can be brought out. So as far as those technologies are concerned, it is my understanding that the Honorable Supreme Court judgment is definitely a triumph over trust or doubting or mistrust, etc.
That's a very pertinent point you make, that the Supreme Court order is very effective in addressing these issues, and that fear-mongering, should that fear-mongering stop? Because I voted, as you can see, and very clearly the time, the sound at that machine, and for me to see who I voted for, I could see it before it was locked. So
that
all
visual.
of that visual was right there in that VVPAT. So Tehseen Poonawalla, there are systems of checks and balances in place. Candidates who come second and third, they can seek verification. The Supreme Court has directed that the symbol unit loading will be sealed, and step 2 or order 2, it will be stored for a period of 45 days. So that should allay fears, unless the aim is fear-mongering.
So first of all, Gaurav, congratulations, you went and voted, and I believe the BJP spokesperson also did. Be like Gaurav and the BJP spokesperson, go and vote. Vote for anyone you want, but vote. But here are 2 issues that I want to raise. Number one, you're right about what Mr. Sankla said. He's a very good lawyer about the VVPAT. The problem in the VVPAT, now this goes back to the German Supreme Court judgment, which says, look, the right to vote is a legal right, not a fundamental right, but the right to know who you voted for is a fundamental right. So the VVPAT sought to solve it. But Gaurav, you are young, fit, and you can see in 7 seconds the vote is right. If Tehseen votes, and let's say he's voted Congress, and say I see BJP, now if I go to the polling officer and I say this is BJP, if it's proved wrong, I can go to jail. And how do you prove it wrong? You have to go and press Congress again. And this time, if Congress comes, it's a criminal offense. That does not give a lot of people the incentive to go and make a complaint against what they may have perceived. That's one doubt. Therefore, we said, give the slip in the hand, they see it, and they put it in the box. Now, second thing, what Mr. Sankla spoke about is, look, it's all the problems that I've raised have been addressed by the government. Yes, during this election, the Kerala problem happened, but it still doesn't address the problem. Even in Kerala, the extra votes were for BJP. Whatever explanation the government gives, why is it the extra vote is only BJP? Why did the Kerala vote never go to the Congress or LDF? That problem no one's answering ever.
Shehzad Poonawalla, Shehzad Poonawala, you want to quickly respond to that, especially when the opposition says the verdict for them is disappointing. A TMC leader chose to blame the Election Commission, saying that the Election Commission is subservient to the Modi government, and that is why it's convinced, or that's what it alluded to, that it convinced the Supreme Court that the system is okay.
I've not got a very good audio line, but that doesn't mean I'm going to stop giving up using mobile phones. But having said that, let me come to the last question, and then I address the other questions that Tehseen's put. First of all, when the TMC or the opposition wins an election in West Bengal, or when they win an election in Kerala, or when they win an election in Telangana, or when they win an election in Punjab or Delhi, at that time the Election Commission and EVMs are just fine. And if at all they don't win an election, then they need an alibi as to why they lost, and that's when conveniently you start targeting constitutional institutions at a time where the entire world is celebrating this mammoth election exercise, which even Tehseen Poonawala is thanking you and me to go and vote for. But then they will go and start besmirching this entire process by saying, "But kuch to gadbad hai." And look at Tehseen's argument. First of all, Tehseen should know that this entire Kerala incident has been argued threadbare in the Supreme Court, and it was based on a false news report. Now, by Tehseen's logic, we should stop reporting news because there is a chance of it being falsely reported. And Tehseen's logic, he knows that ballot papers and ballot boxes have actually been captured. He's okay with that. But at the suspicion of another kind of problem which Tehseen just articulated, which is nobody's case, even the petitioners didn't make that case, Tehseen wants that a system that is much better than a previous system should be junked. This kind of argument only people like Tehseen can give. What the argument has been given by the India Alliance parties is that go back to ballot paper, and let's examine that for a moment. Why do they want to go back to ballot paper? The reason why they want to go back to ballot paper is because as long as those ballot boxes were there, it was easy to capture, it was easy to take control of, and it was easy to manipulate. And therefore today, when they don't have answers electorally and politically to Narendra Modi, they start targeting every institution, and whether it's making of a vaccine. The same bunch of people question the credibility of Covaxin. The same bunch of people question the credibility of our economic numbers. The same bunch of people question the credibility of our armed forces and what they have achieved. There is a pattern to this. It is not the EVM. Tomorrow it could be something else. The same bunch of people will come here and give you all kinds of arguments. They want India to suffer because they can't make Modi suffer politically.
Kapil Sankla, quickly, does this verdict address apprehensions that unless every VVPAT is counted, voter confidence may remain shaky? And what do you make of the suggestion made by the court that at least have a barcode, or perhaps a barcode system can be there, and a counting machine? A machine should count VVPATs in future.
Right. You have to see that, these issues have been raised since forever. I think the first case that took place was in 1978 pertaining to elections, and much has been done ever since. As we said that, the technology is improved, the technology is integrated. But if you actually go for 100% counting of VVPAT, you'll again raise with some other boogie. But at this moment, it is just an apprehension and nothing more. In fact, interestingly, the Supreme Court and High Court actually do not permit a person to argue a matter on mere apprehensions till there is some concrete proof. Yes. And there was no concrete proof here. So in this case, my understanding of the Honorable Supreme Court judgment is that it says that efficiency is meeting integrity. You see, you have to see if you count 100% VVPAT, it is going to take forever. And whenever it is taking forever, it would again be, open to some kind of mischief, some kind of play somewhere. So that efficiency that we have, in fact, shows the integrity of the machine and the system. And not just, and let us also say, when you're talking about 100% VVPAT, you're actually regressing back to ballot paper, which basically saying that not just every vote here, but every vote is being counted right. Because what is happening is that you have technology. It is free of human interference. There is an apprehension, definitely. Just to quickly give you an example, 25 years when I became a lawyer, we used to have these typewriters. So when you cross-examine somebody, that statement would be recorded. So whatever would be done, but that statement is already there. Now the only thing the court could have done is cut it, and we would go to higher court and say, listen, this is what the statement was. See, there are cross marks here. Then came electronic, and then there came computers. When computers came, we said, now the judges, now the court, now the opposite side, anything, it is open to this, it is open to that. But it is a successful mechanism. It is faster, it is more efficient.
शक का इलाज तो लुकमान के पास भी नहीं था. That's the point.
आपने बहुत अच्छा बोला.
That's the point you're trying to make. But let me get Tehseen. Let me get Tehseen to respond to this, because the opposition has repeatedly raised what is being described on the broadcast as the EVM bogey, only to pipe down, as Shehzad Poonawala points out, if the Congress wins or India Alliance members win state elections. After all, it's the same EVM machine, it's the same VVPAT that handed Congress a victory in Himachal Pradesh, Telangana, Karnataka, or Mamata Banerjee this handsome victory in Bengal, and the Congress and the TMC are raising the bogey now.
So let me answer both those questions. First, let me answer Mr. Sankla. He's a fabulous constitutional lawyer. If I'm ever in trouble, I would hope he defends me. But Mr. Sankla will never say, because 3 witnesses I have cross-examined and I've kicked them out, I will not do the remaining 3 because the law of averages is on my side. No, he will absolutely do everything it takes to protect me.
No, fair enough. Very good point. But on the substantive point, when Congress wins elections,
I'm coming to
EVM is fine.
So there's nothing wrong in 100%, even the Supreme Court's agreed. Now let's come to the fact of Congress wins EVM. First of all, Congress in its manifesto is saying EVM will be there. We just want 100% transparency. So they are not saying, maybe Rahul ji's made a statement, maybe Akhilesh ji. What does the Congress manifesto in writing says? It says, look, EVM and for VVPAT, which you can feel and you put in the box. So Congress is actually talking for VVPAT. That answers your and Shehzad's question. But even let's say the Congress won on EVM. Do a ballot election in Telangana, do a ballot election in Uttar Pradesh, you'll come to know what the answer is.
No, but then do we need to go back just because those who lose elections are saying EVM kharab hai?
That was BJP who went to court. BJP went to court on that.
That's the point Shehzad is raising. But Shehzad, Supreme Court suggests put a barcode, VVPAT and counting machine so that total voter confidence can be there. Is the BJP open to that, sir?
Gaurav, I want you to do one thing. You take it in writing, not from Tehseen, but from Jairam Ramesh. You call him right now. We'll hold on for the show for the next 10 minutes and tell them that when this system is put, which you are talking about, barcode and machine counting, they won't say that malicious program has been put in the machine. Because the same next 6 months, this Jairam Ramesh ecosystem with Tehseen Poonawala representing them here and taking a different stand will come and say, अरे पर पता है गौरव जी, वो जो मशीन काउंट कर रही है ना 100% वीवीपैट को बारकोड देखते, उसमें मोदी ने malicious कोड डाल दिया है. अब इसका भी थोड़ा रीचेकिंग करना पड़ेगा. अब उसका भी फिर से काउंटिंग कराओ. These people are unsatiable. They are the people who said UPI will never work. You remember how Chidambaram mocked the old poor lady who will be selling her goods on the street? So these people are anti-technology, and for the sake of their political petty power, they can go back to even the 17th century or 13th century because they don't want India to progress, and therefore on every issue they create doubts and hesitation.